Eight, seven, six, five, four, three, two, one, zero.
Hey, welcome
Hello.
to 12th Dimension. Hello, everyone. So, change of plan from the original setup due to Clem, forgot his name. He got called out on a private investigation, so he couldn't turn it down. So that's why he can't be here tonight. So I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Hamster, Hamster Sandor. Wild Bill hasn't gone home. He's just been sat here waiting since Wednesday. So welcome, Bill. And NicName, thanks for joining us. So good evening, and let's get it going. So we are going to start with UFOs, UFO stories, UFO everything, UAP, because I know Warren likes to call them UAPs now, don't he? So, right. So let's. Who wants to start? Shall I start?
Go for it.
Go on, Andy.
Right. So, as you guys know, the regulars that are on, I had Jessica Jones did a remote viewing for me, and in that, some things that I already knew, but one of them was one of the very first encounters I had when I was about 6 years old. I seen the UFO. So, was that? Long story short, I was out on my bike, Saturday afternoon, been raining, riding around on the estate. For some reason, I stopped, looked up, UFO above my head. Could have been there 2 minutes, 2 hours, however long, don't know. Put my neck down because it was aching, looked back up, it had gone, and then just carried on playing out. Then I was talking to somebody about it a couple of months back, and it triggered something. And I remember a helicopter. So where I grew up on the estate, like I said, there's all fields and everything at the back of the house. The street I lived in, there's only 10 houses. It's like a little cul-de-sac. So we had a big back garden, and then at the fence, and it backed onto fields, and then an old sewage work, and there's like a swamp and allotments, and then you've got like a nature area, like you can walk around it and what have you, with ponds and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got a golf course. So anyway, used to live in a semi-detached house. So there's 2 houses there. Then there's like a row of 4, then another semi there, then another row 4. So 2 4, 2 semis. So the semi that I lived in was the one on the right hand side, and I was probably about 3 years after this UFO encounter. I was looking out the bedroom window. It's probably a weekend or school holidays or whatever, and I was waiting to go out with my mum. I think was going shopping. I'm looking out the back, and I seen a helicopter. It wasn't like a private helicopter. It was a military one. It was like a greeny grey gunmetal colour. And they literally was in the back garden, and they was doing all weird manoeuvring. So like, I know it's not a helicopter. I've got a little one somewhere, but I don't know where I've put it. So rather than it just flying in, then flying off, it was doing all the weird, like the manoeuvring, like you'd see at an air show when they're showing off, showing you what skills the pilots have got. But it came down, I always remember, because it was one of the first helicopters I'd ever seen in real life. It was an Apache because it had the guns, could see the guns down either side of it. And it was tilted, and it was kind of like the cockpit of it was level with my bedroom window, and it was in, like I said, we did have a big back garden anyway. I think it was about 150 foot long, probably longer than that. But I was eye level with the pilots. So there's one pilot, so you had pilot and the co-pilot. So the main pilot had, is it a dome? The helmet, which is a round one, like the rebels wear in Star Wars on the X-Wing. Is it the X-Wings? That sort of round helmet with the big glasses that like kind of like the visor that come with it. Yes,
a fighter pilot's helmet.
Yeah. So it's not the black ones that stop. This is like with
the visor.
Like big mirrored glasses that are part of it, but they look separate. Anyway, so could see him. Had the 80s mustache. He sat there. He had the military gear on. The guy at the side of him, he was, I think they're both roughly about the same age. I'd say late 30s, early 40s. Now, he had darker hair. I'd say it was black, but going grey. He had a mustache as well. He was slimmer. He had the headphones on with the mouthpiece. Oh, excuse me. And they were just sat there. But I'm looking out the window. I'm a kid. I'm watching this helicopter, and it's going up and down and turning and flying away and coming back. It was going upside down and everything. And all I could think of, how is it not crashing into the house? Why are the blades not hitting anything? Because the gap between my house and the house next door, the shortest gap was probably 10 foot. The widest gap was about 40 foot, because the houses are built at an angle to make the gardens bigger. So anyway, I'm watching it. Must have been about 5-10 minutes. And I'm kind of getting a bit scared because I noticed it had the guns down the side. But the pilots didn't make any eye contact with me. They must have seen me. I was stood right up at the bedroom window, literally. If I could have opened the window to get out, I would. It's just like a little swing top window at the top bit, like, you know what I mean? Like the proper old windows. So anyway, my mum shouts me down. So we go out, start walking up the street, and I come out the garden, like the front garden, and I'm watching, and it's still there, and it's flying about, still doing its stuff. And my mum shouts me, "Come on, hurry up, we're going to be late." I'm watching this, So, whatever, just hurry up, stop messing about. But then, before we came live, I was talking about this, and NicName said about the noise it was making. I'm thinking back, I'm 99% certain it didn't make any noise. There's no air blast coming from it. So there's no it's called an upwind, isn't it? Or an updraft from the blades. There's none of that. I genuinely don't remember there being any noise coming from it. And nobody else in the street, I said there's only 10 houses, but nobody else in the street was talking about it. It was never mentioned. But it's just a really weird. There's no military bases near there. There is one place called Bury, Holkenbrook, I think it is, and that's about 15, 20 miles away. But they do like more survival. It's not an air base; it's like infantry. So it's more like overnight, like survival. You're like living in, like digging an hole and living in it for 2 days and stuff like that. I know because my uncle trained on there, and so it was nothing. There's no. I couldn't even tell you where the nearest air base was. So yeah, it's very, very strange, and there's just nothing. There's not, like I said, I don't remember any sound. Don't remember like any blasts from it, because like I said to you guys before, when I used to go up to the air shows and that there's like an aerodrome down the road. You used to have the Red Arrows and B-52 bombers and Vulcans and all that. When they ever had that on, it was that loud. I used to have to cover my ears.
Exactly. Should have made a better racket, and it should have drummed up a bit of a audience.
Yeah, because
so,
in the
so
back
what makes
garden,
you think UFO? Is that because you're thinking now it didn't have all?
So I'll do a quick drawing. Right, so that was basically the layout of the street. Yeah. Now that house there, the helicopter was right around the area, and there are the fields. Yeah, don't know if you can see it. It's not the best drawing.
Right.
That's a helicopter. That's where I lived.
Yeah.
And then the street straight down, and then the road going either way. But if you come out the street, so if you come out the street, turn left, and go to that house, that was where I was in the UFO. So it's not even 100 yards distance between where the helicopter was to where I had the UFO sighting.
Can you quickly draw the approximate distance as well, or was it as close as you were drawing it on there?
As close as that. It was for me to walk from my house to where the other house that was stood at was less than 30 seconds. It's literally walk past 4 houses, turn left, walk down the side garden of the end house, get to the next house on that corner, and that's where I was. That's where I seen the UFO. So this was in a place called Swinton in Manchester on Beechwood Estate off Lane. There you go. So if anyone wants to look it up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
there can't have been a helicopter. Well, we got.
I don't. As I was telling this person about it a bit ago, there's someone's bouncing feedback. Sorry.
Let me turn on mute. I'll go on mute.
Is it you? NicName, it was you.
No.
Oh, how dare you?
It's not. I've been getting it throughout the whole thing. It's not Nick. It's because it's not Nick at all. And it's not me. I've already put mine on mute also, and it's not coming from me.
Is it Adam? It might be you, Adam.
It's Adam.
No, it's stopped now. Sorry about that. We solved the mystery. Right. Yeah, it's just it's a baby with lasers there from Wythenshawe. So they're right next. Wythenshawe is right next to Manchester Airport. That is for me to drive from Swinton, jump on the motorway to get to Wythenshawe. What, 25-minute drive? So even if it was military, it wouldn't come from Manchester Airport, because where I lived, when planes were waiting to land at the airport, they only had one runway in the 70s and 80s, most of the 90s. I'd look out the window at night and you just watch all the planes just circling for hours and hours waiting to land. So you never ever seen any military aircraft. You don't even see the Chinook, whatever you call them. Nothing like that. You'd only see Wharton's quite a track away.
There's a question in chat, Andy, which I asked you from Simon. Did your mum see it, Andy?
Well, I wish I'd have asked her, because looking back on how she was reacting to what I was doing and I'm watching it, I don't think she did. Because my mum would be one of them, like, she'd be like, oh, why is that so close down? Yeah,
well, yeah,
wait
get attention
before we go out. And it was literally, I'm trying to think where I've put that helicopter. I've got a little remote control, like drone helicopter. But it was literally dipping between the house. And when there was rotating, surely the tail of it, they're not that good of pilots, I don't think, that it would have not hit any of the guttering, because we had the chimneys on there as well. There's like these big trees at the back, and no one that I know of ever mentioned or spoke about it. So I kind of think, the house wasn't shaking. We had thunderstorms right above the house, and it was like it was an earthquake going on. The lights were shaking, flickering on and off, and that was a thunderstorm. So you got an Apache helicopter, or what looked like an Apache helicopter, doing all its fancy shenanigans, like around the back of the house. It weren't raining, it was just a normal. It was a bit grey, the sky. The sun wasn't out. Remember that. And just it was weird. I don't know what that was about. The only thing I can put it down to, it had something to do with that initial sighting. But then that's the same thing with that. I watching that helicopter for 2 minutes. I could have been there for 2 hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
My mum said she'll shout me when we're ready to go out. I couldn't tell you what time of day it was. Don't know if it's morning, midday, afternoon. I know it wasn't early evening.
So it could be two things, couldn't it? It could be you being watched after seeing something you shouldn't have, and it was...
Yeah, but they didn't make eye contact.
Or
so I'm watching them.
It wasn't
a 9-10-year-old kid, like, staring out my bedroom window, and they just both sat there, like, heads weren't turning. You could see the pilot, like, moving the, I don't know, was it joysticks or whatever? I don't know. But, yeah. And it only happened that once. I don't ever remember it happening again. So, yeah, it's just strange.
That is a strange one.
Yeah. So, if anyone's got any ideas, that'd be great. But I've not got a clue. No, I don't think it's. So I'm just reading what Umbra's put. He says whatever it was, it almost certainly doesn't seem to be a helicopter in any conventional sense.
No, unless it's some stealth type helicopter and it's super advanced. But
it kind of like I didn't see it coming across the fields, but I seen it within like 100 foot of it approaching. But then I'm not looking out my bedroom window looking for a helicopter. Do you know what I mean? So did it just appear from nowhere? Was it cloaked, shielded, whatever you want to call it? But I honestly do not remember any noise coming from it.
And you should have heard it before you saw it.
I couldn't because I'm not very good at drawing.
But over here,
I could draw the pilot and the co-pilot like I've just had a 2-hour conversation with, like I'm chatting to you guys now. I could tell exactly what they were wearing and how there was everything about them.
Well, I know the Apaches over here, they do have a baffling system, which does quieten the engines down quite a bit to where you almost don't even hear them.
Yeah, but I'm sure you could still hear the blades.
That's the only thing you might hear is the thumping of the rotors above going thump, 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 which you can't disguise it because of that's it just breaking the, if you want to say it, the sound barrier, whatever. But that's, you can't get by that one. But as far as the engines, and there again, too, depending on what year, are you sure it's an Apache? And it might have, or was it a Cobra?
Well, I'm not that well up on.
Well, was the pilot sitting behind? Was the one person sitting behind the other one, or beside each other?
Side by side.
That's an Apache. Okay, that's an Apache.
Right. I just presumed it was an Apache because of the guns down the side.
Apache.
So where the feet are, where the feet are, the guns were like up and then coming out. So I'm like, why is there a helicopter with guns flying right next to the house? I got scared because I thought, what's it doing?
Cobras have that same, basically the same type gun hook setup as an Apache does.
Right.
Cobras came out first though, but the thing was on that where you were saying co-pilot is like a pilot sits in the front.
Yeah.
Or actually in the Cobra, the pilot sits in the back and the tech guy sits in the front. The one that operates the guns, the missiles, and all that stuff. That's what he does.
Right.
Radio.
Well, they were sat. I know they were sat side by side.
And then on the Apache, they sit side by side.
Yeah, right. Definitely sat 100% side by side. Warren's just asked what color it was. It's like, so when I was trying to remember, I was getting confused because I know they were wearing camo gear, the green and brown. And I was thinking, was the helicopter the same? But it wasn't. It was like a really dark green going into like a gunmetal grey.
They call that over here, they call that a drab OD green.
Yeah, so see like the W on the screen, where it's Warren, you've got the green behind it, like a jaded green.
Right.
Slightly darker than that.
So not khaki green then?
No.
That's khaki.
It was going like green going into grey.
Basically, that's a military. Basically, that would be a military drab OD green.
Right.
And drab means that it's flat looking, no shine to it, no nothing. Just
it's a matte finish.
Yeah, matte finish, and that's what drab is. And just but the OD green is just a dark green, almost going to gray type color.
Yeah.
The O in OD is olive drab.
Olive drab, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like an olivey colour.
Right, that's olive drab.
Yeah. Right. Well,
so
I couldn't even make it up because I didn't know any of this.
Would you say, well, you'll have to have a look. You'll have to let us know if you see anything that resembles it, because it could have been American. It might not have been British.
Without sounding thingy.
American based in the UK back then, weren't there?
We had special groups over in the UK and all around Europe back then.
So Umbra put in the chat about the pilot and co-pilot having a mustache, and then he said about having a mullet. Now, I'd said before we gone on air that the co-pilot actually had a mullet because he referenced Airwolf, but it wasn't. I know it wasn't Air, and I think. Because I did used to watch Airwolf, and it's a very similar helicopter to that, but the colour was different.
Airwolf is a jet chopper.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly the same. The colour obviously weren't the same because that was black.
The closest to a Cobra, the closest to an Apache would have been Airwolf. The TV program Airwolf.
Yeah. That's what we're on about.
Well, not Airwolf. I'm sorry, not Airwolf. Airwolf is that's jet chopper. That's that. I'm sorry, Blue Thunder, the movie Blue Thunder.
Right. Yes.
That would be the one that would be more like an Apache. The reason why I know that is because when I was in the military, we had to. Yeah, Airwolf was a Bell 22 jet chopper, right? That's a Bell, and it has retractable landing gear and stuff. That's what is used commercial now to fly rich people around from building top to building top. Right.
Right. Okay.
But and they are, I mean, but there again, they're compared to some choppers, they are fairly quiet compared to some choppers. But the reason why I know about the Apache and the Cobras, well, the Cobras was coming in when I was in the military. And then I've always been fascinated in choppers, and that's how I knew about the Apaches. Because they basically, the Apaches, what happened is that the United States Army had the Cobras. Then, as the Cobras got older, they gave the Cobra, when the Apache came out, the Army got the Apache, and the Army gave the Marine Corps the Cobras.
Right.
Army always gets the new toys first.
Yeah.
You know, and then after that, then of course Marines got their Apaches also. But the Apache did have a system on it to kind of quieten it, to kind of make it stealth. And that was one of the reasons also, too, the reason why they were shaped like they were, the Apache and Cobra both, was to deflect radar signals, to kind of make them stealth.
Yeah.
Because if you'll think about it, if you look at them, they're done on angles. The choppers are, but well, the Apache is. It's not like a normal helicopter. It's just, it's geometric type, you know, like a, yeah. And that's so that it can't be picked up on radar as easy.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I digress. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Right. I was just getting a picture up. I was just looking on Google for a photo of the nearest thing that I can find to it. So just let me upload it on here. Right. It's not exactly the same as this, but this is the nearest one that I could find in like 30 seconds. So where you've got this, where you've got are they the motors below the blades? They look like a pair of eyes either side of the cockpit.
Turbine motors.
Right. It didn't have them, or if it did, I didn't notice them.
Okay, check Google the Cobra.
Okay, 1 second.
I think you might be talking about a Cobra.
I don't. The only Cobra I know is a snake.
No, a Cobra helicopter.
I don't know nothing about helicopters.
A Cobra helicopter.
Oh, is it?
The way you were explaining it, it sounded more like a Cobra to me opposed to Apache.
Oh, what?
That's the reason why I kept asking about a Cobra.
See, it's hard to see. I'm trying to look for one like front facing, but these are all side shots.
It kind of looks like the Apache, but thinner.
Right. There we go.
It's more sleek. The Cobra is more sleek than the Apache is.
Right. Let me try this one then. Sorry, guys.
AH-1, that's a Huey. Warren. Yeah, Warren is now talking about the AH-1, which is a Huey. That's what I used to use in the military. That's what my group used as a taxi cab, was an AH-1 with the first air cab unit.
Right. All right. On set, I downloaded the link and not the picture. 1 second. Right, this has got to be the nearest one to it. But it's still not quite right.
See, that's more like a Cobra right there.
Right. It was that colour, but more like that with the guns either side. It didn't have them boosted thrusts or whatever they are on the side, and the cockpit was wider. Because obviously it had the two.
Well, now the cockpit, they can change the cockpit by the glass. I mean, it's still going to be the same width of the. It's still going to kind of, the body's going to have the same width, but the cockpit will look wider, because what they'll do is that they have more of a bubble type feature glass to it.
Right.
And it just makes it look wider, but
yeah, it was more
wider.
It was more dome like.
Mm-hmm.
but it was this colour. It was as wide as that, but had the features of that. But on that, looking at them now, that's another reason why I'm thinking it definitely wasn't an helicopter, because it wasn't quite right.
Well, that's the only helicopters I know that look like that, unless if I'm trying to think of Russia, what Russia had at the time. I'm not sure about Russia. Russia was real big on Russia was real big on the big helicopters. Well, I mean,
English.
Well, there could have been a strange air show going on that day that you didn't know about, and they could have been out.
No, it's the place where I grew up. If there was anything going on like that, it'd been all over the news.
You would know. Okay, it'd be all over the news and everything. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm a debunker, so I'm trying everything in the world to debunk.
Well, I've been thinking since I remembered about it for the last 2 months. I've been trying to think of what it could have been. And the only thing I'm getting is that, right, here we go. Right, last one now. Don't want to bore everyone. So it was more like this. So where it's rounder, didn't have the camera on the front, or heat sensor or whatever that is. It was rounder.
That's a huge helicopter right there now. That's a big helicopter.
It didn't have the big donut thing at the top either.
Well, that big thing at the top, what that is, that's radar.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
didn't have that on it. The glass was more like that, but rounder, because I could actually, like I said, I could actually see what the pilots were wearing.
Well, that body on that chopper that you just showed us at the last, that body's as big as what a UH-1 is. And that is a big, fat helicopter. That's not no little bitty thin helicopter. And
it was the one I was looking at. The one I was looking at was quite bulky. And the reason I now know is because all the images I've just been looking at, a single person, and then they sat behind. Where there was sat side by side, and there's quite a bit of room between them.
Now, on that first one that you showed, though, that was darker colored, that's the Apache. They do sit side by side.
Right. But
you'll have two sitting there. Matter of fact, if you look real hard at the glass, you're going to see about a little over halfway up, you're going to see it looks like eyeballs looking through. I mean, that's two different pilots. That's two different helmets right there.
Right.
So that's one sitting beside the other. But on the Cobra, they sit behind each other, one behind the other.
But when I was looking at the pilots, I could see them from the knees up. So I could see the knees.
Well, you're looking at a bigger helicopter then. I mean,
I'm looking into the
there cockpit. Again, Warren could be right there. And check out, Google UH-1. A Huey, UH-1. UH-1. Because Warren might be right then, because that's a bit, I mean, I was on the understanding it was a thinner helicopter, but a UH-1, you would see into the cockpit.
Right.
And
more like that.
And then it don't have the pods out on the side of it like what the Apache and Cobra does. And the matter of fact, the UH-1 is probably the world's best well-known helicopter there is, because that one did all sorts of missions. I mean, you could put a Gatling gun in the side of it. You could put missiles on it. It was used for military medical evacuations. It was used as a taxi cab, like I said, for us to go and do air assaults out of. The UH-1 was a universal helicopter.
If anyone wants to Google UH-1, the first few images.
There you go, UH-1.
That's exactly the same cockpit as that, but the only difference is, when I find it again, it had the guns down either side.
Oh, you can do that with the UH-1. Oh, yes. You can put rocket pods on the side of it. You can put a Gatling gun in each door. You can put 50 cows in each door. You can actually put one underneath the cockpit right there that has a turret on it. UH-1s have very many different ways of, as you want to call it, packages. They can do different things with it.
Right.
You know, because you got UH-1 is just your basic number. You got your UH-1A, your UH-1B, different ones, and each one has a different package on it. It depends on what it's being used for. But that right there was probably the most versatile helicopter that America ever had. It was a workhorse.
Right.
It was a utility helicopter. It could do
how you see that now. Yeah, how you're looking at that. That's the level it was at for me to see in. So if you look at the pilot on the left, he's got the full helmet right over his eyes and everything.
Oh, he's got sun goggles on.
Yeah. So he was sat on the right, and where the other guy you can see his face, he was sat on the left.
Yeah, he don't have his sun goggles on. Right.
No. So it was exactly the same as that, but set up like that.
Yeah, they see they could put a wing. They could take that Huey and put a wing on the side of it, like that one has, and put your rockets on there, your rocket pods and stuff on there, like that.
It didn't have them,
but I mean
the rocket launchers.
But I'm saying though, a Huey though can have that. It can even have that set up right there. A Huey can. Oh, like I said, the Huey with that chopper right there. That oh, I love that. I love that bird right there. I love it. I have ridden many a times on that.
It was that shape, that body, but not that. But with all the other extras.
And matter of fact, that's what you see on that color. That was your OD green. That was your drab OD green.
Right.
That color, not the tan, but the dark part behind it. That's your drab OD green right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, it was.
Bill, is that US, UK? Those images.
Do what now?
What country of origin are those clips? Just so we got. What country of origin are those pictures?
Well, I know all three. I know all three of those are American choppers. I know that.
You hear me?
Now that one big one.
We can hear you.
Now that one big one that had the rocket pods on it, to me, that looked more Russian. But the Huey and the other two, the Cobra and the Apache, those three are U.S. helicopters.
Right.
Those are definitely U.S. Now the third one, I'm not sure what it was. It was too flat bottomed. I'm not sure. It kind of reminded me more of not that one, but the dark one. That one right there reminds me more of a from what I have seen in Russian helicopters. I might be wrong, which I have been wrong many a times. But
Warren's just put US. We don't have them. UK doesn't have any of them. But yeah, so it was a mix. It was a mix of all that. There's no sound. There's no air or anything coming from it. I seen it, and then didn't see it. Never seen it since.
Well, you also got to remember too, talking about the UK, even if it wasn't the US over there giving any kind of having a base or something over there, you also got to remember that another group that's over there that also uses the UH-1 is NATO forces.
Right.
NATO uses them. I mean, a lot of times they're painted baby blue, but they do have them.
But why would they be in a built-up residential area 4 miles from the city centre?
Training. A lot of times military does trainings they do not tell the civilians about, and the civilians get freaked out about it, and they start making phone calls, and that's when you start having reports of UFOs and stuff, and that's because the military is going in there on basically, if you want to call it, a secret training exercise.
Yeah.
They don't want John Q. public to know about it because basically what they're doing is part of the training is to observe and spy on John Q. public. Right. And if they knew about it, then they'd be out there waving at them and stuff like that. And they don't want that. They want to see if they can go in there and be stealthy without people really knowing it. And if you let people know it, then you've blown the idea of being stealthy.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, the way it was maneuvering and doing all these fancy turns and twists, it was completely out of the ordinary. And the fact that my mum didn't acknowledge it
I can see that happening on a field test. I can see that happening though.
But then why couldn't I hear it, and why was there no air blast coming from it?
There is. Well, it depends on which chopper it really was. It really depends on what chopper. If it was a UH-1, I cannot really see the stealthiness of it that much because the UH-1 did not really have the baffling systems on it. But there again, its engine was different than what the Cobra and the Apaches is, and it didn't make as much sounds as what those two did, and mostly what you heard from the UH-1 was the thump, 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 thump.
I don't even remember hearing that.
Yeah. Well, you being closed up in a house, if the windows were shut and stuff.
No, but then I came out the front door,
and you still didn't hear anything,
and it was still doing all the stuff because I was getting at this point I was getting really scared. But
that one I
still do not remember hearing or feeling any sound or air pressure coming from it.
You would definitely feel a downdraft.
No, nothing.
Because that's how it keeps itself up. So you'd have to feel that.
Yeah. And
if it's that close to the ground, of course.
The height of the house is what to the chimney.
How many stories? How many stories did you have? 1 story, 2 stories. 2 stories. So you're probably looking 8, 20,
32 foot max with the roof.
Yeah, at the pitch.
Yeah. So say this was say it was double the height of the house, because I might have thought it was lower than what it actually is. Even if it was 40 foot or 60 foot, you'd still feel something or hear
if you were under it. If you were under it. If you were away from it, maybe not.
Yeah.
If you were like 50 feet away from the center of it, or more than that from the center of it, you might not feel it as much as what you think you would.
But then nobody else acknowledged it other than me. That's the other thing.
Nobody else might not have seen
it.
Nobody else might not have seen it other than you.
That's what I mean. Yeah, but I was walking down the street with my mum, and there were other people in the street. I can't remember who, because I was fixated on watching whatever this was doing.
Well, we have to agree. It's one of those.
I don't know.
We're going to have to agree that it's one of those things that make you go,
Yes, definitely.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I don't know what it was, why it was there. And, yeah, it just... There's too many unanswered questions about it for it to make any sense.
I would definitely say it's a UAO.
UAO?
Unidentified aeronautical object.
That's far too hard to try and say.
Well, if you want to go UFO, unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you didn't know what it was. You still can't identify it. So it is going to be unidentifiable.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people don't understand that UFO stands for a lot more things than flying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just
something you don't recognize.
Because a lot of people, they hear UFO, automatically they're going to think, a flying saucer. No, that means that is an object that is flying that is not identifiable. That makes it unidentifiable, which in turn makes it a UFO or a UAO, which is a unidentified aeronautical object, which they like to use more now because of with the nice surveillance balloons and weather balloons flying around. It's easier for them to debunk an unidentified aeronautical object opposed to a unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
That's just Big Brother's way of, because if you notice, the word changed after everybody started using cell phones and started coming out with all these pictures and proof and everything. So then they changed the name from UFO to the other. So, but there you go. I digress.
No, that's fine. Warren loves it, is known as a UAP anyway.
Yeah, UAP, same thing, right.
So far, we don't know what it was. It could have been a helicopter. It could have been a giant hedgehog. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
No one else see it. No one else acknowledged it. So there we go.
And if
Right.
nothing else, we have proven that you are the most observant person in that block. If nothing else.
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the others could have been abducted. They were just waiting to take me. I don't know. Could have been anything. Right. Anyway, so that was that. Right. So Adam, can you unmute yourself, please?
Suitably unmuted.
Hey, cheers. Right. So welcome, Adam. Sorry, this is going on that bit too long. So, do you want to talk about anything? Your most exciting encounter?
Well, none of them involved helicopters.
That you know of.
Excited. The coincidence, a chap on the other night, Lovejoy, not Lovejoy, Love something, can't remember his name now.
Oh, Alex Lovelock.
That was it. He was the same part of London, similar age. And my first sort of sighting, this was just lights. Myself and my brother out in the garden, when looking south, and now this part of London's really high, the highest part of London.
Oh, because you Crystal Palace.
Yeah. And we were looking down south, and really bright white light, and out of it came probably 5 or 6 red lights, smaller red lights, and flew around just what seemed like randomly. And after a period of time, they all went back into this white light, and the whole thing just disappeared.
Oh.
Nothing exciting. I'll shout out a bit better, really. So it wasn't really exciting from the UFO point of view, but funnily enough, he said he saw his first UFO from Crystal Palace down looking over Penge, which was where I was looking. You've got Penge and then Beckenham, coincidentally.
Oh yeah.
Where Timothy Good lives. So you got Penge, and so he was basically looking the same place as we first saw our lights.
So do you think it was the same set of lights?
Just a bit of a coincidence. Possibly,
yeah.
But it was just random that,
It's strange how you both see the same thing in the same area.
Yeah, over Timothy.
Different angles.
Had insult to injury.
Yeah.
So that was just lights, but that was the only. Another funny one later on, I was living in Sussex, working at Gatwick Airport, and one early morning, probably about 5 in the morning, a summer's day.
Yeah.
Just driving up, you're looking over the South Downs, and I saw this. It looked like the shape of a light bulb.
Right. It's like a pear shape.
Yeah, pear shape. Yeah, or a balloon, but upside down, inverted.
Yeah.
Just absolutely still, gunmetal grey, and I watched it. Although I was driving, it was quite a long straight road, so I could get quick looks at it.
Yeah.
And that evening, I thought it was really bugging me, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if I report it.
Right.
So, just as an experiment, really, I phoned the local police and said, "Here, John, I saw a UFO." And he said, "Oh, I don't know what to do about that." I said, "Well, what do you normally do?" He said, "Well, I've never had it before." He said, I'll put it in the incident book and that'll be it. And I said, "Okay." It was just really just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And then about later, I can't remember him giving him anything more than my name. But anyway, about an hour later, the phone rang, and this bloke said, "Oh, I'm a UFO investigator. Can you tell me more about this thing you saw?" Which I don't think Men in Black use the telephone, but but he just seemed to. I don't know. I'm sure telephone number, but maybe I did. I can't. It was a long time ago. But I've seen a few more. Good one 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, one evening, I just went outside, and we're sort of halfway up a mountain, and we can overlook all the houses down the valley.
Yeah.
And there was
what area was this?
Well, that was before that was Surrey. We've now moved across to Eastern Europe.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Anyway, I came out the door and there was a really bright orange light, probably about 200 feet above the ground. And it was just pulsing. It would just pulse slowly about 5 times, and then it would stop.
Yeah.
And then it would come alight again, probably about a quarter of a mile further down, and do it all again.
Yeah.
And we watched it. I called the missus, and we got the binoculars and stood there, ran upstairs and looked at it through the window for 20 minutes. Now, it went in a perfectly straight line, and if you track that line, it would have gone straight over our house.
Right.
And so we watched it for 20 minutes until it was just gone out of sight. But that was, a really bright light. And I looked everywhere locally. There was not one report of anyone seeing it. And then the valley, which basically following, you've got probably different villages. So it was 10 to 8 in the evening. People, would have been out and about, and there was not a report of it.
Did it glow on the ground? Did it light up the area, or was it concentrated? Okay.
To illuminate anything, but it was regular in the number of sort of pulsations, and then it just followed this straight line. But the it came out, must have come over our house in that straight line.
Yeah. So did it have like a pattern to it when it was pulsating, or was it like random? Or is it not random?
No, there was a pattern. It was just a pulse like that, and it would probably pulse 5 or 6 times. I think it would probably, and then it would just go out. The whole thing would go out, and then maybe a quarter of a mile further on, it would just
see it again.
It just kept doing that. We watched it for 20 minutes, and all that 20 minutes staring at it with a pair of binoculars. I never thought to put my hand in my pocket and get my phone out.
You never do. You never do. I believe with that, not just with UFOs, with cryptids and everything else that goes on, getting your phone out of your pocket is the last thing you think of. I believe, I was talking to someone, I can't remember who the guest was. Don't know if you guys seen it, but there's some sort of message it sent that stops you from doing that. And you don't think about it until after the experience is. Once the experience is finished, you think, should have got my phone. I think there's some sort of block is put in place for you to stop you from thinking about it.
Yeah. But what can I say concerns me? Well, my experiences have more been poltergeist, ghost experiences. But I've had various UFO sightings as my watched one with my kids when they were young, and we were watching this archetypal normal flying saucer shaped thing just slowly traveling and then stopping relatively close to see the shape and everything. And I say, kids, look at that. You've seen your first flying saucer, kids, and quite a few of those sorts of happenings. But my main experiences have been poltergeist ghost experiences, and that's why I think they're played in together. It's just that
just hold that thought on the poltergeist thing for 1 second. I just want to put this up from Warren. So he said, I always find it funny how UFOs feel the need to adhere to FAA, CAA guidelines on lights. Wait, so I've always wondered this. Why do UFOs have lights? Is it to attract our attention? Because when they decloak or cloak, depending which way they're going, they're not bothered whether they're when they're cloaked. They don't want anyone to see them. So if they're putting lights on, then they're doing that for the human factor.
Unless, like a jet engine would produce light by its very nature. Yeah, I mean, there could be some in there that actually generates
it's some sort of energy. But then if the lights are like jumping to Close Encounters, the movie, where they got the lights and the sound and all that, and it's doing the pattern with the different coloured lights and different sequences, is that for our benefit when it's that kind of light and not like an energy ball? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think a lot of the time they want you to see them.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the Phoenix lights, I mean, they hardly hid themselves, did they? I mean,
well, no, because it started off as like one or two, then it just literally went all the way around.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do it to annoy us, but certainly not hiding themselves. Though, you know, why would they fly over Phoenix for thousands of people to see it if they don't want to be seen?
Exactly, and then when they're hovering there for like 2 hours in total, something like that. Excuse me.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure they either don't care if we see them or want us to.
I do believe that they show us the lights because they want us to know that they're there. Like you said, Warren said, I think in Umra as well, that there could be different reasons that the lights are being emitted. It could be like if the light beings and it's some kind of, it's whatever the energy that they're using to travel, it could have something to do with that. It could be anything. We don't know.
One I watched going down the valley, I mean, I was thinking, what's it doing? I mean, it's, you know, you've got this bright pulsating orange light, and the only thing I could think that it was doing was surveying.
Yeah.
You know, it would just go, you know, maybe scan an area. Maybe that's what the light was, some kind of scanning thing. We go to the next one, do it again, and carry on. And, you know, maybe they're looking for minerals or who knows.
I was going to say, is there water down in the valley as well? That's supposed to be a source of energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got natural spring water.
Yeah, but most valleys have water running through them anyway, don't they?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't actually because the valley sort of meanders. It's not a straight line, you know, it goes for miles. So it goes.
Yeah.
Whereas this light did go in a straight line. But
right.
On the down. But who knows? I mean,
well, I don't think we'll find out anytime soon. Anyway.
I was going to say, anyone else report as well in that area before we go to break?
Sorry?
Is it quite common in that area that people have had sightings, or do you seem to be the only one?
You've got to remember the geography here. You know, we're looking at former Soviet, you know, socialist country, and they're very much want to be living in the past a little bit, you know. And I talk to people and I talk about UFOs, and they say, "Oh, you only get them in America." You know, and that's a general sort of attitude. You know, well, it's not going to happen here. Why would they want to come here? You know?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. We have the monopoly on UFOs over here in the United States. We don't let anybody else have any.
Keep them all to yourselves. Terrible people.
We
not
keep
sharing
them all to ourselves.
You give us dodgy helicopters and that's it. And there's only me that's seen one.
And that's the ones we don't want anymore.
Yeah, with the mullet pilots. Right.
So,
Just before we do go to a break, because we're changing subject in the second half, Adam, you were saying that most of your encounters have been like ghosts and poltergeist. What do you believe a poltergeist is, or what do you believe poltergeists are?
in the arse. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you can ask 100 people and get 100 different possibilities. You know, and people have said, oh, well, you know, there was obviously young adolescent people in the house or young teenage girls and all this. No, there was nothing like that, but it was still happening. You know, so that kind of puts that theory out.
So do you think poltergeists are like spirits of the dead or demon entities, greys, some unknown force?
I don't think they're the dead. I don't believe that. Some kind of an energy, but I don't think it was Great Uncle Harry coming back to say hello. You know,
slamming doors and throwing spoons about.
One of your relations that have passed on. Why do they want to come back and put the heebie-jeebies up here?
Have you met my family?
I'm the dead one.
Yeah. You know? No, it's just because, like you said at the beginning of the question, you're going to get loads of different answers from different people.
Yeah. All I can say is, like, there's some, I don't know, it always seemed to be something like when things moved, most of the time, something that I'd touched, put down, moved, bought, painted, or whatever, thing that I'd reasonably done. It was never anything that's been stuck on the corner shelf for months. It was always that had, you know,
like recent activity, I suppose.
For instance, one night I used to do painting. I used to decorate narrowboat things for narrowboats.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So I used to do this painting on little plant pots and stuff like that. And I did a little IKEA bucket, a miniature bucket, and I spent hours damn little roses and castles over it. And spending hours, and I took a hook off the cup hook, which, you know, it's a cup hook. It's designed to hold things, and I put this fresh thing on the cup hook to dry. Turned the light off in the kitchen, went next door, and then I heard it. And I thought, so of course I knew exactly what had happened, went back in, and this thing was across the other side of the kitchen, just after I've painted it, you know, and you know, so it you know, it could have just picked up anything and chucked it. Why pick something up that I've just been spending hours painting? You know, it was always, as I say, it was always, you know, and we still get it here, you know, just behind me here, I've got a set of cards I use for teaching. And I was back where I am now, and this thing was in a pile of cards. It lifted up and went across the room and landed on the floor next to me. But it was that I'd been photographing it a couple of days ago.
So this happened. So I'm guessing this started in the UK.
Started in the UK,
and it's still going on now in Europe.
I blame Ryanair cheap flights because it only followed us.
2 for 1. That's where it is.
So not to the same extent, but definitely it's still saying, you know, you can go wherever you like, but I'm still here, mate. You know, it's like that. But there's a lot more to it, which obviously we haven't got time for the break.
Well, what we'll do then? Sorry, go on.
I was just saying that there's a lot more spanners because of all the theories about either dead people or young people and going through puberty. There's some rather strange aspects to it, which I'll tell you about afterwards.
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll go into the break because then after the break, Adam, you carry on with what you were just saying then. And then while Bill, if he's not fell asleep, is he awake? He's awake. He's going to go.
Wide awake.
Just checking.
I'm just waiting on my turns. All I'm doing. You still haven't let me tell about my UFO experience, but I feel the love. No problem.
Sorry.
Handle that.
Right. Well, what we'll do then after the break, because you're going to come back with something, aren't you, Bill? You're going to go and get a.
I'm going to. I've got to. Miss Nick has asked me to fetch something, so I am going to.
Right. What we'll do, we'll get Adam to tell us about his poltergeist activity. Then Wild Bill can do his show and tell. And then at the very end, if Bill does his UFO encounter, and we'll finish on that. So we'll go full circle. Sound good? Wicked. And then, Nick, if you've got anything to add during this, just throw it in as and when.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, wicked. Right. So see you guys in 5. And don't be late.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back. So, you guys can unmute yourselves if you want.
Right.
Hello.
Bill?
Yeah.
So, can hear Adam.
Can you hear me?
Can hear Nick. Bill? We can't hear you. No, we can.
Because I had
Cool.
my mic off. That's the reason why you couldn't hear me. There's a reason behind that.
That's all right then. Right. So, Adam, do you want to carry on into what you started telling us before the break?
Because they're things that sort of like seem to break the norm, where the researchers talk about poltergeists, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, another time we had a lodger staying with us for a short period of time, and her sister came over to visit. And it was a summer's day, and we sat in the kitchen, 4 of us sat around the table in the kitchen, and I'd just bought a pocket knife, just a little innocent folding penknife, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd left it on the dresser in the kitchen, and it was just sat there. And while we were sitting there talking,
Yeah.
this decides to hop off the dresser, yeah, and land on
Yeah.
the floor. And one of the lodger's sister, she went into one, just went straight into panic mode. My God, what's that? You know, that's
Yeah.
And I said, don't worry, it's the underground trains. They just cause vibration. I mean, we don't have an underground train in Crystal Palace, but that's beside the
yeah, that's what you got.
Off accepted it. She couldn't really argue against it.
Right.
So anyway, so we got drinks out, and she had a bottle of Coke. So we gave her a glass and a bottle of Coke. So she unscrewed the top of this bottle, put it down, and as she's filling the glass, this bottle top stood up the table and shot across the kitchen.
Oh.
And so she just went into one again. That was it. You know, she was off.
Game over.
So no, it's all right. It was just the gas from the Coke under the cap. Yeah, and it probably the gas expanded and gave her this load of.
Yeah, made it lift.
But I didn't get away with it. You know, she was just. So and of course, me and the missus knew exactly what it was. So we said, "Look, let's just go out." And it was a summer afternoon, so we went up the road. There was a pub with a nice beer garden. So we went into the pub. They went out into the beer garden. It was my round, of course. It always is. And I went to the bar, got the drinks on a tray, went back to the table. Now she had another bottle of Coke or whatever, and what they did was they just like nipped the top. Here's one I prepared earlier. They don't.
Oh right, yeah. So you just lift it off a little bit.
Like that. So I brought the tray down in a packed beer garden, weekend, sunny afternoon. In the bar, she puts the top down, starts pouring this thing, middle of a packed beer garden, uplifts this top and goes shooting across the beer garden. You know, you think, well, I think only one person sort of looked around and sort of like, who threw that sort of thing. But you know, that was just quite unnerving because it just sort of proved that. You know, there's no escaping it, you know.
So do you think you have an attachment?
Yeah, but I haven't got any batteries for it. No, that's something else, sorry. No,
I was going to say, actually, when did it start? What was your first incident and how old was you? And has people had it in the family before you? Is this something that's generational?
I think it's all, yeah, it was always because it was my parents' house. My parents lived downstairs and aunt lived upstairs.
Yeah.
Then the aunt moved away and I took over the upstairs flat eventually. But while I was away, I mean, lots of years later, but while I was away, my brother would be there and he was always complaining of stuff happening.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you know we lived in the house before? Have you got any history on it?
Not. There was an elderly woman we bought it from, but that was, you know, like years and years back. She, you know, but I don't. I can't say I've really looked too far back.
No.
But as I say, I don't know it's that anyway. So you know, there was that sort of like broke the boundaries of your normal poltergeist sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know. Now the other.
Sorry, go on. It's all right. I'm just thinking out loud.
It's like now my missus has a grandson.
Right.
It's not my blood. All right, he's a grandson.
Yeah.
Not blood, if you see what I
Yeah,
mean.
I know what you mean.
We were talking to him on Skype one evening.
Yeah.
And him and his mother, and we were just chatting, and we could see behind this, I think it was a book or a CD, just came flying out of the case, the bookcase behind.
Yeah.
And it quite shocked his parents. And they, because they just, their cat had recently died, and they said, oh, it's the ghost of the cat, you know.
Yeah.
Now, I told my missus this because that would really freak her out, but so keep it secret.
Don't let her watch this.
So COVID came, and I was teaching my grandson over COVID, over Skype, you know, using Skype.
Yeah.
And came out then, there was the same kind of things happening to him. He said, oh, you know, I put my Xbox games all down. He said, and I put them on my thing, and I couldn't find them. And he said, I found them on the toilet seat, piled up on the toilet. And so he started telling me, and I said, well, what did Mum and Dad say about that? Or did Mum and Dad, you know? And he's you know, he's quite straight, you know. He wouldn't.
Yeah. How old is he?
About 10 then.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, but he's not the sort to make things up. Certainly
Yeah.
Like that. But he said, you know, they were on the toilet seat and Mummy's working and Daddy's out and this sort of thing. And I said, why? You're not scared, are you? And he said, oh, no, I'm not scared, but I just can't figure it out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
frustrating.
Yeah. So you've got that link happening to, you know, so it's proved any family theory wrong, unless by pure that their house is active as well.
Right.
But so.
But you've seen orbs, haven't you, as well? And you've had injuries or marks, so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because Ruby's just put something in the chat. I'll put it up in a second, because normally with poltergeist activity, it's more, I suppose, nasty encounters. It's like they throw things at you and trying to more attacking.
Yeah.
Rather than just moving random things. This seems to be more like playful.
I understand that, but I mean, because you know, there was no headless horseman type visions. You know, the nearest description you can give it is poltergeist.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you could argue, well, what is poltergeist activity? You know, it's moving, and you know, but as I say, it's I think the worst occasion we had a really heavy bureau, and it really was. The bottom two shelves were full of books. I mean, heavy books.
Right.
Oak bureau. The flap was down. The laptop was on it, and we were. I was sitting down. The missus was behind me, looking over my shoulder, and we were talking to some Skype, and the whole cabinet just lifted up. Probably only inches, and then just dropped.
Right.
You know? And it would have taken two adults, two strong blokes, to pick up that bureau, because it's not like it had legs. It was
that just with you telling me that, then that's similar to the one that Malcolm Robinson investigated, the Saatchi poltergeist. There's I think it was like an ottoman or a chest of drawers or something, and that lifted up and moved and then dropped back down again. And it couldn't have done it on its own.
Yeah.
So it just, as you started telling me that, I just thought of that story straight away.
And I think that was one thing that that made us kind of think, well, though there was never any harm as such, it just made us think, well, it obviously could harm if it wanted to. The only time anyone's sometimes we were poked and pushed and things, but not in any serious way. But it just made you think, well, if it can lift up that can give you a good old shove down the stairs,
Yeah. Do you think that was kind of like a warning, like you've just said, showing you this is what I'm capable of doing?
Who knows? You could think the bad or the worst. It was like the photo. Never, in all that time, I never took any photos. I never saw camera, CCTV or anything, because I just thought, let sleeping dogs lie. Just don't provoke it.
No.
And the only time I took photos, as Nick's seen the photos, all the stuff's packed up because we're moving.
Yeah.
Right, I'll do it now because we're going anyway.
Right. Yeah.
That didn't work either. So, So, as I say, if you want to take your normal poltergeist bit, it's breaking the rules.
So it seems, I don't know if friendly is a correct phrase or word to use, but it's not attacking anyone. You're not waking up with scratches and you're not being thrown around the house or anything like that, are you?
Could say that.
All right.
It was like, I often show Nick photos of my legs, but
they're less hairy than mine.
Yeah, I should wind resistance. But it was like the scratches the other week. It wasn't actually the scratches, but it was the mark above the scratches. It's as if something was sort of climbing up. A cat was climbing up your leg to bite you. Bite rather than.
So how many scratches were there?
Probably about. It was a series of scratches, mainly vertical and some.
Oh right, so it wasn't right. Yeah.
I'm not. All I'm saying is I don't. They were quite sore. I don't believe I could have done that in my sleep, but maybe I did. And I'm not.
You don't know if you did, but you don't think you did.
There's not enough evidence to say that's paranormal. But the trouble is, when you've got lots of them and you put them all together in a box, you'll find that box is full of, too many. It's painting a picture. There's just too many. So
it's too much of a coincidence for it to be you keep doing it.
And I say, and it's weirdest thing, we've just started the last couple of years getting apportations. Stupid things, no coins or anything exciting, but stupid things. Mrs.'s phone flew off. That was quite expensive. That was a newish phone. She bought an iPhone. On the settee, I was standing. We were talking about something, and the phone just flew off the footstool and landed 3 foot away. You know?
So do you ever receive anything? So you find stuff in the house that wasn't there before?
Not particularly, no. I mean, I think any house you find things. And,
where did that? I mean, something that wouldn't be there.
Not finding any strange coins or.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Like coins or like little rocks or stuff like that.
I mean, it's stupid things. Like the other week, we were making tea, and I think the missus was just sort of cutting up broccoli to my right. I'm pouring a cup of tea, and this elastic just dropped. An elastic just dropped between us, and we both looked at it. And like she's cutting up broccoli, there was no elastic bands around the broccoli.
There's definitely not one in the kettle.
Obscure thing that, you know, okay, we could say, well, it flicked off something somehow, you know, but then a bottle top just sort of lands next to you, you know, and you think, well, I haven't got a bottle, you know. So again, you can't definitely 100% say that elastic band hasn't flicked off, but as I say, when you've got a box full of them, you've got to think of it a little bit differently.
Oh yeah, because the thing is, with what you've been saying, that isn't normal everyday behaviour in a house, in a home.
No,
I've never had anything like that happen with me. I've seen stuff move and things like that, but not on a daily or weekly occurrence. So I mean, it is strange, shall we say.
But the good thing is it's not as bad as it was. And first time, you know, we were in our 50s before we went to sleep with the lights off. Because in London, you couldn't, you know, it was awful. You know, you just sat there, the door open. There's just something there. You know, you couldn't see anything, but
you knew there was something. Yeah.
Settled in it. Just that,
wow.
So I've got a book instances of it's done that fit the norm.
Yeah, you even move countries to get rid of it, and it still followed you.
Right. But as I say, that's a few examples. Happy home.
Yep. No, thank you for that. Thanks for sharing. It's been great. Right. So, Bill, are you ready for your show and tell? Now, if anything bad happens to me now, I'm blaming Umbra.
Blaming Bill.
No, blame Umbra.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to Things That Make You Go, real quick, I just want to say real quick, poltergeist. That is a German word and brought by the Germans. And what poltergeist basically is a malevolent, uneasy spirit. And it can make things move around and throw things. And you would say it's not a evil ghost or energy, but more of a mischievous ghost or energy. It likes to play tricks and have fun. But that's poltergeist. That's what I was always taught what it was.
Yeah.
But anyways, I had to run to another room during the break because Miss Nick wanted me to grab something I have in my possession that was sent to me a few years back.
Possession being the key word.
Possession being a key word on this one. It was a gift sent to me that this person sent with the story behind it. And in the meantime, I've actually had a couple of mediums or empaths handle it and deal with it and see what they got from it. Two completely different people. They don't even know each other.
Right.
Story came out the same on both. And what it is, I would like to introduce to you my little friend. Her name is Margaret.
It's creepy doll time.
This is Margaret. Margaret is an antique porcelain doll.
Yeah.
And it was the possession of a young girl. Well, actually, the doll's not named Margaret. It's the attachment to it is named Margaret.
Right.
And from what I was told, it was a young girl, very young girl, that owned this doll. And the thing goes with it that the deal is that, and I've experienced it.
Yeah.
Any given time, you will hear like a little girl, and I say little girl, a child. And when I say child, I don't mean like 9 and above type thing. I'm talking a young child.
Like 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6, 7, right.
Yeah.
Of crying and sobbing and whimpering. You will hear this. You don't hear any words. That's all you hear is just the whimpering and stuff. And the mediums, neither one could actually tell me what happened to this little girl, Margaret, except for that she has passed away.
Yeah.
And that her energies, and there again, a lot of times I refer to energies because a lot of people use the terminology ghost.
Yeah.
I don't really use the terminology ghost because the way I've been taught, and I believe it's an energy. Because this shell that we have, the body, this physical body we have is only a shell for our energy, our life source. When this body dies and quits, the energy travels on because, like it's known, energy itself cannot be destroyed. It continues. So, on that note, I would say that the energy got attached to this porcelain doll. And we call her Margaret because I was told that is the little girl's name. And on the doll, I don't know whether y'all saw it or not, but there was a tarot card of protection on it.
Right.
On that, the mediums, or one of the mediums, I'm sorry, wrote down the message she got from this little girl. And it goes anywhere from like things holding, she got like things holding back. Couldn't really, this is just, it was kind of like, if you want to call it broken English, broken sentences, but like I said, one is like things holding back. Admit a reveal. Never could figure out what that was. Isolation, talking about things like the little girl was isolated. She was kept alone. And this was her possession, what kept her company.
Right. Yeah.
And then like she like guilt, depression was part of it, message becoming across. And there was a message that couldn't really elaborate that much on, but that the hands were tied. Now, was it that her hands were tied? Because the doll itself, the hands were not tied.
Right.
So was the little girl's hands tied? Was she kept like in solitude? Was she, we don't know whether or not maybe she had a problem with her. And when I say problem, like a physical or mental problem that was
right.
Back then would be maybe like a disgrace to the family So they kept her hidden and kept her where other people couldn't find her. But this little doll, like I said, was sent to me because, to be honest, they had experienced the crying and stuff so much they wanted it out of the house. So I told them, sure, no problem. I've got a perfect place for her. And she resides in my bedroom with me on a shelf.
So that.
Wow.
Wow.
Because, I mean, I am married, but me and my wife, we have two separate rooms because for the longest time, they thought I had that thing where you wake up at nighttime.
Sleep paralysis.
No, sleep apnea.
Oh,
Sleep
right.
apnea. They thought I had sleep apnea. Matter of fact, I've got the oxygen machine and everything, but still woke up. And what happened was we found out that I don't have sleep apnea. I have a wife who snores like a freight train.
Yeah. And you've got a creepy doll in your bedroom.
So we got two separate bedrooms. So like you see this room right here, this is what I call my inner sanctum. This is where I do all
your escape room.
My little things. This is where I do my biddings.
Yeah. And
then my bedroom, that's where I keep, as some people would say, the nasties.
See, now I do it the other way around.
I don't.
Choice.
Well, see, I relate with them, so they don't bother me. They don't bother, because see, that's also where I've got that box set that I was telling you about that has the spirit, the energy of an evil priest in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's also where I have those 3 books at. Also, is in my bedroom.
Can I ask you a quick question just before you carry on? Have you tried using a spirit box on Margaret?
Well, see, now there, I will go like this. I'm old school.
Yeah.
I would use a talking board before I would a speaking box.
That was my next question.
I do not trust any of these newfangled things. I look at them as entertainment and for fun.
Yeah.
Now, I do watch certain TV programs because I do include them as being entertainment, but at least this way, I get to see the new toys that are coming out, whether or not do I want them and try them.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, a spirit box is like an app.
I wouldn't use the app.
I don't trust them.
The apps that you can get on your phone, crap. They're just preloaded.
Well, see, a lot of the spirit boxes and stuff like that you get and stuff, unless if you get one that's made and you know how it's made and everything.
Yeah, but if you get
a lot of times they have a bank of words in them and stuff that, you know, and then some of them use radio frequencies which jump around and can actually pick up words from a radio station. So there's a lot of stuff in there because, like I said, me, I was
just going to say, there's some that use white noise, and then it picks the words up inside that.
Well, see, I can do that with my TV. I can get a static TV and do the same thing.
It's pretty much the same.
Get snow with white noise and get stuff coming through it. But there again, I consider that radio interference because, like I said, okay. First off, well, I am a priest. I am a spiritualist priest. I do believe in all this, but the modern day electronic stuff is so easy for stuff to interfere. And like I was going to say, I am a believer. I've seen proof and stuff that that the paranormal does exist. But I am a skeptic believer, which people go, skeptic believer. Well, skeptic means you don't believe. It's like, no, you don't understand. A skeptic believer is a believer, but they're going to be skeptical on people saying things and that stuff they hear stuff because they're going to try to debunk it. And that's what I do.
Oh, yeah.
I try to debunk.
Right away.
And if I can't debunk it, that's when I come out and say, well, it's got to be. Because if I can't debunk it and it's not that, then it's something else. It's something beyond my normal capacity to understand. It's got to be paranormal then at that point. So I'm not ruling it out. It's just that I'll be asking you a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to debunk it. And if I can't get the answer I'm wanting out of you, which I will ask you straightforward questions with basically what would be better known as a yes/no answer.
Yeah.
And if I don't
direct answers.
If I don't get the clarification that I need, then at that point I'll have to sit there and go, Again, one of those things that make you go,
Yeah.
I have to sit there and I have to then backtrack and go, oh, okay, well, if this didn't happen, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. But yet this did happen. No possible way for it to happen. Then it's got to be this.
Yeah. Right. Can I change my question then?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just going to rephrase it.
Rephrase.
Have you tried to communicate with Margaret?
Okay. That's the reason why I had others do it. I can't do it.
I was going to say how she communicated with you then.
I'm not a mental. I've heard. I have heard, which makes me believe. But as far as communication, no. And I don't play with this, and I don't play with the speaking board by myself. No. And I have nobody here that will use it with me. So no.
Right. Has she tried to communicate with you? But you've just gone, no, not.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have that I'm not a medium. I don't have that capability.
No, but surely everyone has. If something's trying to communicate with you, you must.
I have heard the crying. I've heard the crying. I've heard the weeping. I've heard the noise. But as far as somebody trying to reach out to me, no. There again, even the other person that had this, they're sensitive, but they never reached out. All they heard was the noise. The mediums, the only reason why they did it is they basically went into, whether it be a trance or whatever, how a medium does it.
Mm-hmm.
They picked this out from it.
Right.
As far as being able to communicate, because see, we're not completely sure that the name is Margaret. We're just assuming it is because that's the name that came through, was Margaret. Was it truthfully no Margaret? We can't say really, because there was never no definitive, because as far as these energy is concerned, it never actually just spoke out, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So, but me, myself, and I'm old school. I'm more of your physical investigator, and getting physical evidence is what I do.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever had anything kind of, I'm not going to say speak to me, but I will say, okay, yes, it spoke to me. EVPs, and that's me going back and listening to it, and then going through one of my software programs and breaking it down and getting rid of certain frequencies and stuff and clearing it up so that you actually hear it better.
Yeah.
That way I have. But as far as actually walking into a place where some mediums can actually walk into a place and they will have an energy actually speak to them, I can't do that. I might have had, well, everybody's born with it.
Yeah.
Everybody's born with the third eye. But due to mankind kind of telling everybody who has that they're crazy, they're insane, this ain't real, it ain't happening. The next thing you know, you believe it. And you lose, like the old saying goes, you lose what you don't use.
Yeah.
And in turn, I've lost, if I did have it, I've lost it. Now, my grandmother, yes, she could. I myself, no. But there again, it was my grandmother who brought me up believing in, and this is the paranormal period. And like we all know, well, not all of us, but what most of us know, the paranormal is not just about ghostesses.
No, it's about everything.
Paranormal has to do with everything that makes you go,
Yeah. Everything we don't have answers for.
Right. And that's cryptids, that's UFOs, that's aliens, that's energies, that's demons, that's this, that's that, But there again, we know more about demons than we do spirits. That's what's so funny about it. But that's due to religion, though, is the reason why we know more about that.
Yeah.
Is because different things, I mean, like Hindus and all them, they have their demons, but they call them something different. They're gods, but there's good gods and bad gods.
The jinns.
But then you got some people that more of the modern day religions that classify demons as being nasties from hell. We'll just put it like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so it's really, you know, really kind of how you look at it and which way do you go with it, you know. But my grandmother, she always taught me to keep my eyes open, keep my ears open, and you know, well, to believe, basically, to believe.
Yeah. Can I just say, because you mentioned it the other day, for those that weren't on Wednesday, you're Native American?
I'm Cherokee.
Cherokee.
I'm Cherokee with just a little bit of German in me.
Right.
My mother's side of the family, her mother was full-blooded Cherokee, and her father was full-blooded German.
Right.
And they were from eastern Kentucky, up in the coal mines. My grandmother was actually from the reservation. Now my dad, he's full-blooded Cherokee. Now him being full-blooded Cherokee, I guess that would make his mom and dad full-blooded Cherokee. I guess so.
I reckon, yeah.
Anyways, but according to the registry, though, I'm like 80 something percent Cherokee.
Yeah.
Give or take a couple of percent, you know. But you know, I've got I'm Cherokee with just a little bit of German in me. So I think that they told me that was a good mix. So I'll go with that.
Right.
You know, but see, that's how I was brought up. I mean, I believe, and that's the kind of spiritualist I am now too. I believe in Mother Nature. I believe, you know, I believe in all these things, and like in the alien stuff, like the ant people, the lizard people.
Yes.
I believe in them because that's how I was raised. I believe in stargates. They're there. I believe in Middle Earth, or I'll call it Middle Earth.
Yeah.
To make it easy. I do believe, or inner Earth.
Inner Earth.
Inner Earth, because I don't want, I mean, I'm not playing the J.R. Tolkien stuff, love them to death, but I'm not playing the Hobbit deal. This is inner Earth, because as we always say, as above, so below.
Yes.
And depending on how you look at it in some respects too, I can entertain the flat Earth theory.
I've had this
conversation. I said I can entertain it.
Argument. I get both sides, but I get where both sides are coming from.
But I look at it more like a football, like the football theory. I can't remember what it's called, but I was on a show not the other day and they were talking about that. And it's like taking it in the earth, instead of being round, it's more like a football, and you've got the upper and you've got the lower. As above, so below.
Yeah, it's supposed to be more like that shape.
Well, kind of an oval.
Like a squash pear.
Well, you know, some of it, well, see, the thing is too, like a lot of people,
apparently.
Well, the astronauts have showed that the earth was round. It's like, no, the astronauts showed that they took a picture of the earth from inside the inside the capsule, which its windows are round. So you see all this blackness around a round earth. The earth could be flat, but according to that, it would still be round because it's a round portal. So the earth is going to be round.
Yeah.
But
no, I understand the ideas of where people are coming from with flat earth and the dome and
but anyway, that's a different conspiracy theory all the way around anyway. we were on this.
We'll jump ship on that one anyway.
Yeah, that's a subject for another time.
Yeah. I was going to say we need to cover Bill's UFO as well.
Yes.
Well, now my UFO is going to be short and sweet. So
okay, that's all right.
But then I want to get Adam back on before we go as well.
Okay, well, real quick, short and sweet was my UFO deal was actually, and as I started studying it, how everybody talks about the flying saucers.
Yeah.
The thing I saw, which is unexplained. Now, I'm not going to say it was a intergalactic spaceship, but it was an actual UFO to me and everybody else that saw it. And because I wasn't the only one that saw it. But this is the old school triangular shaped UFO.
Right.
Like a delta wing.
Yeah.
Because once I saw it and I started studying UFOs and stuff, I found out that was actually a UFO shape that was actually seen well before the flying saucers ever came around.
Yeah.
That the delta-shaped, triangular-shaped UFO had been around for years and years and years before the flying saucer. And another one that had been around before the flying saucers too was not the Tic Tac, but the cigar-shaped.
Yes.
They were around for a long time. And at that point, I would say that the Tic Tacs have been too, because all the Tic Tac is a shorter, stubby cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that actually the flying saucers, the idea of a flying saucer, that is more of your newer, more modern day UFOs. But there again, I would put that as being like a product of ingenuity, because if you look at what our planes were from the Wright brothers with two wings and a rubber band to now we're
made
looking
out
at
of wood.
Now we're looking at Gen 5 fighters from Russia and you know from everywhere, that completely different critters. All that is the evolution of the UFOs. Let's just put it like that. The UFOs.
Another quick question for you, just before you carry on. Did your grandparents ever talk about UFOs?
Oh yeah, but not as far as not UFOs. No, I mean they didn't say it was no. They were talking about gods and spirits.
Right.
Is what they talked about. They did. I mean, there was no UFO and no aliens because there were no aliens. Because you got to remember my ancestors, their powers and stuff, they feel like was given to them from extraterrestrials, from gods and higher beings that are not of this earth. That's where the Stargates came in from.
Yeah, that came down from the sky.
The ant people, the lizard people, these were gods. These were beings from other places not within our realm, within our realm, but from other places. And but yeah, that's what they talked about. As far as aliens and UFOs, no, there was no such thing. But now, like my grandfather, my dad wasn't, but my grandfather, he was a minister.
Yeah.
And then great great grandfather, great 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 grandfather, great great, you know how you start adding all those great greats on there? We're shamans. We're shamans.
Right.
So see, all of that I was brought up with that. I was brought up with that in my teaching, because my grandmother, basically, she raised me.
Yeah.
And she raised me in the beliefs of the Native Americans. She really didn't appreciate. I never once heard her even speak about Christianity. Never. As far as I remember, she never spoke of Christianity, even though I was Catholic because I had to be. Because when you're born, you're Catholic, because that was the missionaries who came into the indigenous people to try to teach them about God was your Catholics. And so I was brought up Catholics and I'm proud of it. Now, this one I'm proud of. I hope I don't lose if I do lose people over it, I don't mind. But the archdiocese down here where I live at, they had me excommunicated from the Catholic Church. So I was excommunicated from the Catholic, and there again, it's the Orthodox Roman Catholic was what I was.
Right.
In other words, high mass was done in Latin, all that kind of good stuff. And but I was excommunicated, and it was really for something kind of funny. I thought they got kind of pissed off because I told them that the Pope was the Antichrist. So they kind of hated that.
Well,
and they don't even want to know what I think about him now. But you know, I'm kind of proud that I was kicked out of the Catholic Church. So that way, that's one thing that made me lean back toward my natural upbringing and becoming a spiritualist priest. And if you have to really kind of, other than saying it's a Native American religion, the next best one that people might understand is going back more toward your pagan beliefs. of Mother Earth and all that, nature. And that's what I believe in. That's what I do. And there again, I don't push my beliefs off on nobody. I say what I do. You can accept it or not. If nothing else, like I tell people, I'm put here on this earth to make you think and make you research and make you go find the answer for yourself.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, that's about it. But the UFO I saw, though, it was a diamond. It was a triangular shape. For the longest, we thought it was an airplane until it came over us. When it came over us, it was a solid triangular ship.
Yeah.
And back then, it could have been around, but if it was, it would have been around Area 51 type thing, because this was back in, let's say, probably the 60s when I saw it. And I didn't even know what Area 51 was even back then. But the thing is, though, I'm in Georgia. Area 51's in Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona area, out west. That ship would not be over here. And your delta winged airplane, and see, I say delta wing because really it wasn't even really a delta wing, because with a delta wing aircraft, you still see a tail and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was a perfect triangle, equal sides.
Any lights and sounds? Or
No sound, but kind of little flickering lights going around it. I mean, because that's why we first thought it was an airplane, because airplanes have your marking lights on them.
Yeah.
Your flashing lights, and stuff. But these, when it got closer, it wasn't like there was a flashing light at each corner. There was like a brighter light at each corner, but like there was flickering lights going in between them along the edges. So that right there, it was not an airplane. That told you right there, it wasn't an airplane as we know it.
What was that color to the lights?
Multi.
Oh, right.
And I'm not going to say red, green, blue, because that's your. I mean, it was white, yellow, blue, green. It was whatever. It fluctuated. It was like it, whatever it was more like a. Let's not say a light, but more of a visual frequency.
Right.
Because depending on because it wasn't no pattern either. It wasn't a pattern. It was just it was weird. It was really weird. Like I said, it would be more of what you would call a visible frequency is what it is. Yeah. Like how, what would because basically that's what color is anyway. Color is not color. Color is a wavelength frequency.
Yeah.
And what it is the frequency was so strong coming out of that immediate area that it produced that light. And see, that's the reason why I feel like some people, when they say they see lights on it, it's not really lights. It's not. It's a frequency that this thing is emitting from it that is so strong that it shows itself as a light. And that's the reason I like how when they say the ship was glowing, okay, like a light, like a fireball or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not really a light. What that is, it's if you want to call it anti-gravity propulsion, whatever, but it's producing this frequency to help it fly so strong that it makes it glow.
Right.
That's the way I feel. That's what
sense.
I feel, That's what I would.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much about it with me. I mean, it just, like I said, and I use this so often, but it's so true. It's just things that make you go, I mean, you can't answer it. It's like, what was it?
They're the best ones because they keep you thinking forever.
I mean, I've always tried to figure out what it was and still can't. But when I started researching it, it started making more sense when they started saying that the original sightings and stuff weren't of flying saucers, but more of triangular shaped objects and cigar shaped objects, cylindrical, not really flying saucer, but more like a cylinder opposed to, and there again, your Tic Tacs, things like that. So, but anyway, but that's about it with me. My, other than possibly seeing an ET, but other than that, that's about it, and that's unexplainable. It could be anything that goes into the cryptids. So, I mean, it could have been anything,
Oh, we'll get you back on again for that one. We'll do a cryptid special.
Well, you got my number, it appears. So, just.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm done. So,
thank you. Really do appreciate it. Adam, if you got anything that you want to add?
He's mute.
You're muted.
Right, that better?
Yeah.
Story-wise, got lots of RAF camp ghosty stories and things. I'll tell a quick short one because I know we're short of time.
Yeah.
But at RAF Scampton, where the dam busters flew from.
Oh, right, yeah.
Guy Gibson had a black Labrador, whose
right.
name we're not allowed to say. You know what I mean. Anyway, he had a black Labrador, and its grave is still there, and it's tended, and there's a someone who comes around and plants flowers, and it's fenced off, and probably about 30 meters from this. I'm trying not to say the name. The dog grave. And I also had a black Labrador. And when we were on nights and it was quiet, sometimes I'd bring my black Labrador, Max, in with us, and he'd sit in the office and get patted by the other couple of guys and stuff. And by the nature of our business, it was pretty secure. We, would lock ourselves in. If we went out, we would lock the doors, turn the alarm on, etc., etc. And the doorbell rang one night. We went to the doorbell. It was the cleaning lady, so we let her in, locked the door. We went back to the office to our crossword. A few minutes later, the cleaner came in and she said, "Oh, have you brought Max in again?" And I said, "No." He said, "Yes, you have. I just saw him in the other room."
Yeah.
And I said, "No." And she said, "Yeah, whatever." I went off looking for him. But no, I didn't have my black Labrador in at all.
Ooh.
Lots of sightings of this black Labrador around RAF Scampton.
Is that still happening, do you know? Is it still going on?
I don't know. The place was rampant. We used to sit there at night, and the whole place, the whole place would be locked up. There was usually two of us on a night shift, and you'd hear footsteps going upstairs and doors closing. And when we first started there, we'd go running upstairs and looking and finding nothing. But in the end, we just sort of, it was just part of the normal thing,
Kind of just got used to it.
And one night I went out to one of the aircraft to do some check, and I was on my own. So I opened the hangar, I went inside, I locked myself in, went out to the aircraft, and I was just doing the paperwork, sitting on the wing of this aeroplane, and this thing shouted at me. It was the first time I've heard anything. I couldn't make out what it was saying, but this voice shouted across the hangar at me. And so after that, I just went and checked.
Was it male or female voice?
Male.
Male.
It's just like shouting,
Yeah.
But we'd often go in there, and if there's two of us, there'll be a musty smell, and it would come and go. And we used to try and follow the musty smell because it literally just would pass by. And you'd often have things, stones thrown against the metal walls of the hangar, and but that place was rife with stuff happening.
Yeah.
Unless it was me, unless it was my mate coming with me on night shift.
That's a whole other show, so you'll have to come back on, Andy. Andy, you need to get Adam back on.
For some reason, I end up on here every week.
Too many A's on tonight.
Yeah.
Thank
you both. Sorry?
I was just loads of weird, funny things. But
Yeah. No.
I've got
No, definitely come. Yeah, definitely get you back on, Adam. You're on every week in the chat anyway, so could probably do a Wednesday. I've got a few Wednesdays coming up if you fancy doing one of them.
to check to remember.
Sorry?
I mean to check the spelling. I'm an English teacher, remember.
All right. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so yeah, if you want to come back on, we can do a Wednesday and we'll just bring you on and cover some more stuff.
They can do, yeah.
Yeah, is that good?
But it depends on the chatty.
Yeah, grammar please. I was going to say, no, it's gone, completely gone. Oh, so this Wednesday, I've got Nathaniel Gillis coming on. So he also is a demonologist. He's been on before, and he was a guy that asked him a question, and we got an EVP, and that's the EVP that I use in the intro. Where it goes, I think it says you know, but other people have said it's either he knows or she knows or they know. It's something no anyway. So, but yeah, we've got Nathaniel coming on Wednesday. I checked with him tonight, and he's still on. We've got a guy from Norway coming on on the next Friday. I think it's pronounced Agnost. He lives in California, but he's from Norway. Then a week up on the 5th of April, got Natalie Zett coming on. She's the one that looks like she could be related to Jeff Gold. What's he called? What's his name? Jeff Goldblum. And then the following Friday, on the 8th, we've got Amanda Quill coming on. Now, she's the fiance of Rob Demarest from Ghost Hunters. So she's Canadian. She's also Native American. And she's going to be talking about all that folklore and stuff. So, and then the week after, we've got Jessica Jones and Barry Littleton. Then the week after that, we've got Alfred I can't speak tonight. Santariga. And then we've got BMR Rob Carr. So Bob Michigan Rob. He used to do stuff with Jessica Jones and Barry Littleton.
Dogman Project?
No, BMR Rob. BMR Rob Carr. Think you'll put it in the chat, Joe Weeks.
Help.
And then at the end of May, we have Albert Rosales and George Mitrovic on together. So that should be a good one. So, no, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, that's it. I couldn't think what it was called. So, yeah. He did Texas Front Porch. That was it. So he's got a few different podcasts going on and what have you. So we've got all that lined up, all being well. But I just want to say a massive thank you for NicName helping me arrange tonight, last minute. Because it was just panic stations for me. I'm trying to get everything done and no guest. And I was at the point where I just weren't going to do a stream tonight. Thank you, Bill, for coming on, bailing me out. Thank you, Adam, for coming on and bailing me out. Thank you, all three of you, for coming and bailing me out tonight because it just, yeah, it won't been any good. Put it that way.
For carrying it on. And everyone in the chat.
Yes, thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you for keeping it good and respectful and no fighting, which is always a good start. So we'll see you on Wednesday at, I think it. Oh, give me 1 second. I just need to check something. I think Wednesday is 7 o'clock. I just
Time does not change until not this weekend, but next weekend.
Right. So this Wednesday, it's 7 p.m. GMT. So that's with Nathaniel. So if that is Eastern time, that'll be 2 p.m. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trusting what you're saying.
That would be 3 p.m. Eastern time, 5 hours behind. You're not, 4 hours behind. You're not 5 hours ahead of me.
No, we will be in 24 hours.
Is it this weekend y'all jump ahead? I thought it was the end of the month.
No, yeah. It's the last Sunday of the month. So our clocks go back.
That's not this weekend then, is it? Let's see. No, yeah. Yeah, I guess it is, because the last day of the month is actually next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be the last Sunday of the month, the 26th.
The last Sunday, so yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's right. I'll let you off.
Never mind.
Yeah, so the clock's
guys, this just proves that I can be wrong sometimes.
So the clocks go back this Sunday, so you're going to be back.
It goes ahead.
Yeah. So Wednesday, 7 p.m., 2 p.m. your time. So
Andy, real quick, what time is it right now for you?
10:15.
Okay. PM. Then this Sunday will be 11:15.
No, they go back to 9:15.
Because for us, for spring, we jump ahead 1 hour. We don't go back. We don't go back an hour until wintertime.
No,
you go forward. You go forward. You go forward in the spring. You go back in the fall.
Spring forward, fall back.
So
you're not getting that line you wanted, Andy.
Oh my God! Right, 11:15.
Okay, Andy, can I recommend something? Can I recommend something, Andy? Drop back 10 yards and punt.
Okay.
That's one of our U.S. football terms over here, our American football.
Yeah.
Where you drop back and you punt. And basically it's a Hail Mary.
Yeah. No, I've just shot myself in the head, so it's all good.
So it would be
11:15. Yeah, you're right.
Now. And then we're 5, and at that point we would be 5 hours behind y'all.
Yeah.
So right now that would make it 6:15 right now for us.
Yeah.
Which it is. But the thing is, we're only 4 hours behind you right now, not 5.
Yeah, there's a 2-week difference between you and us with the clocks.
We won't get into that. I'll get in trouble if I say what I was going to say. So,
right. It's all good anyway.
I'm going back on mute.
I'll still end up putting the clocks back and not forward, and end up 2 hours late for work. Right. All right, I'll set. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Joe, for not having to mod tonight. Give her the night off so she can pour liquid on a keyboard. Don't know what that was about. Thanks again, you guys, for coming on. And hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST. So if I don't speak to you before, have a great weekend and see you on Wednesday. Take care, everyone.
If I can, Andy, real quick, this is to JoJo. This is to JoJo. They want my T-shirt, and I was going to say I wished I could have someplace I could direct you to go get it, but this was made by my granddaughter, custom made. It's. Yes, I do watch horror movies, and I know where to hide the bodies. But my granddaughter made that for me. So
I'll guess your bedroom then, Bill.
My bedroom. You would think other than the haunted item, other than the items that's in there, the bedroom's normal. It's this room that's weird. To most people, to me, this is normal, but to a lot of people, it's weird. But
we feed the bodies to pigs over here.
Yeah, because the pigs can finish off a human body in less than 30 seconds.
There you go.
Got to remove the teeth first.
Me, I use a chipper shredder. I think
that's a completely different podcast we're going into
we
now.
call it dog food.
Yeah. Right. I do have to end it. So have a great weekend, everyone, and see you next week. Take care and good night. Bye-bye.